All right, let's talk about Arsenal's upcoming trip to Burnley. Now, on paper, you might think, okay, a routine Premier League matchup. But if you dig just a little bit deeper, you find this incredible 50-year-old story that completely changes how you see this game at Turf Moor. Okay, let's just start with this one fact because it is absolutely wild. The last time Burnley beat Arsenal at home was January 6th, 1973. I'm not kidding. Paul Fletcher scored the winning goal that day, and for more than half a century since then, it has been nothing but frustration for the home fans at Turf Moor in this fixture. And look, this isn't just some ancient history. It's a pattern. In their last 20 games against Burnley, across all competitions, Arsenal have been unbeaten in 19 of them. That is some serious dominance. It's this huge psychological weight hanging over the game. But is that the only story here? Well, that gets us to what everyone's talking about with Arsenal right now. You know, as they've been racking up wins, a certain narrative has started to form about how they're doing it. And honestly, it's become a bit of a debate. The popular take, the one you're probably hearing on podcasts and TV, is that Arsenal have become this team that's super reliant on set pieces. The idea is that their big moments, those crucial goals, are coming from corners and free kicks, maybe even hiding some cracks in their open play. But how true is that, really? So, to figure that out, where do you look? How about we go straight to the opposition? We're actually getting a really strong counter-argument from the one guy who spent his entire week breaking down Arsenal's game, Burnley's manager, Vincent Kompany. And what he says is a direct shot at that whole set-piece theory. Kompany's been watching the tapes, and he's just not seeing it. He's not buying that simple explanation. What he sees is something much more complex, a fluid team, as he puts it. And he doesn't stop there. He calls them unbelievably well coached. And coming from a manager like him, that means a lot. He says they're a team that solves situations, meaning they're smart, they adapt on the fly. He calls them a well-oiled and functional team, not a side that's just waiting for a dead ball. To him, this is, and I quote, a top team. So that's some pretty high praise coming from the other dugout, right? But is the feeling mutual? Let's flip it around and see how Arsenal's manager Mikel Arteta is looking at this game. A fixture that, on paper, they should dominate. And yes, the respect is 100% mutual. Arteta has nothing but admiration for the job Kompany has done. He calls Burnley formidable. So despite that 50-year-long winning streak, Arteta is not taking anything for granted. He sees a well-drilled opponent, and he's preparing for a very, very tough game. And this really sets up the whole tactical battle, doesn't it? You have Vincent Kompany talking about his team's defense as their bedrock. It's the foundation for everything they build. So for Arsenal, the challenge is pretty clear. History isn't going to win this game for them. They have to figure out how to actually break down that tough, well-coached defensive wall. So you've got this massive weight of history on one side and this really interesting tactical argument on the other. When that whistle blows, what's this match really going to come down to? It pretty much boils down to these four things. First, you've got Arsenal's insane 50-year record at Turf Moor. Then, you have Burnley's organized, determined defensive bedrock. Up against that is the real Arsenal attack, the fluid team that their own opponent sees. And tying it all together is this chess match between two managers who clearly have a ton of respect for one another. Which leaves us with the big question. Is that half-century of history just too much for Burnley to overcome? Or is the real story here about whether Arsenal's smart, fluid attack, the one Vincent Kompany has been watching all week, is good enough to finally crack that defensive bedrock and prove there's a lot more to their game than just set pieces? We're going to find out at Turf Moor.